Nice big screenshot of the chart here, but if I zoom in, essentially, to summarize what the question is like, let's take the racing stripes on the left here, right? You can see each bar that has a racing stripe, right? But they're green or long racing stripes, but they're occurring on red or down bars, right? So the question is, we want a long racing stripe or a long bloodhound signal to be blocked if it occurs on a down bar or a red bar. But let's see, actually, where would be a good example? Let's see, the third, over here in the middle, this third set of racing stripes, right? The first racing stripe occurs on a red bar, so that one would want to be block the bloodhound signal. But when we get the green up bar, then we want to allow the bloodhound signal to show up on the green up bars. So this fourth set here, those are two red down bars, so those would be blocked. But then over here on the fifth set, right, we have 3 green up bars. So I guess, yeah, so the bloodhound, the long bloodhound signal would be seen on these green up bars, but blocked on the 2 red down bars. Right. So that's basically, the question is all about, how can you filter the bloodhound signals so that the bloodhound signals are only seen when they correlate with the correct bar direction, right? So if it's a long signal, you only want to see a long signal with an up bar, and if it's a short signal, you only want to see that with a down bar. So that's really what the key of the question is. So that's what we'll cover today. All right, so let's get BloodHound open, and we'll get started today. So let's set today's file name first. All right, 24th. There we go. All right, so we have our file name set. There we go. And let me just switch over to the logic template, the logic tab. And let's start a new logic template there. And all right, so we're going to filter signals by the bar direction. All right, so I'm just going to have to create, some kind of simple, kind of dummy set of signals here to work with. So I'm just going to do something simple and use the stochastics here. So if the stochastics is oversold, I'll generate buy signals. And if the stochastics, if the stochastics is overbought, I'll generate short signals there. Just something real simple here. So to do that, that would be the threshold solver. And let's see here. So the lines I have are 80 and 20. All right, so let's put that in there. So 80 and 20 and 20, right? So always remember that the threshold values need to be in descending order. So if you're using 80 and 20, remember you got to put something in the middle there, because 0 is not in descending order if 20 comes after it. So I just usually throw 50 in there, somewhere in the middle. So, all right, and quickly, the reason why I put 80 and 80 and 20 and 20 is because it gets rid of BloodHound's fuzzy logic calculation. All right, let's see here. Let's set the stochastics indicator in here. And let's see, I'm just using 714.3, yeah, default settings. And that is the %D on the chart. All right, and next, let's see. So I was going to create counter trend signals here. So something like this. There we go. All right. So stochastics is oversold, generate long, a long output. If stochastics is overbought, generate a short output, like so. All right. So there's something for me to work with. And let's open this up here. All right. Yeah, so we want to allow, these signals through, like so. And we want to block the signal on that down bar. And let's see here. So actually, we don't have a bar direction on these. So those two would get blocked since those are dojis. There's no bar direction. And that down bar, that signal would be allowed to go through. All right. Here, let's give this a name before we get going too far. All right, so this is a stochastics 80-20 threshold there. There we go. All right, so there's a couple of ways that we can think about this, and I'll show the simple way first. Right, so if we want the BloodHound's signal to correlate with the bar direction, well, it makes sense that we would need to grab a bar direction and then simply grab an AND node like so. All right, so there's the raw signals, and then as soon as we connect our bar direction up, bingo. So there we go. We can see this bar, right? Signal's gone. These two bars, signal's gone. Pretty simple. Now, let's say we want to get a little more advanced, and let's say we only want to see the first signal here, and we want to block the other signals like so. So let me just get my little markers up here. There. All right. So we want to block the other signals there, and let's see. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about the question again, making sure I'm answering it correctly. Yeah, I think I am. Okay. So to do that, we can just use a signal blocker. There it is, one on top there. Just grab a signal blocker. Pretty straightforward, like so. And for this simple system, that's it. I have the signal blocker is set to block for 5 bars. And, I don't think the stochastic stayed oversold or overbought for more than 5 bars. So I think that should be good here. So let's just take a quick look through the chart and see, so we should only see one signal per incidence, where the stochastic goes oversold or overbought, and that's what we're seeing so far. And yeah, this all looks good here, and yeah, looks good there, and yeah, looks good there. Let's see. Actually, let's analyze this area here a little bit further. Just double check here. So what we'll do is we'll bypass the signal blocker for now. And look, so if you do want to see the first signal on every occurrence like this, let's see. Well, actually, yeah, if we look here, yeah, let me just put a marker here. So our stochastics is still oversold, so maybe this signal is, considered a part of the whole signal. Well, actually, if we go to our logic here and let's just take a look at the original signal. And yes, right. So you can see, right? So the entire signal there It's like so. All right. So yeah, this one might want to be blocked. And let's do this again here. So I want to identify the 2 bars right there where the stochastic was not oversold. All right, so that'll help me figure out what signals to block. Yeah, so basically I want to see that one, and then the stochastic kind of resets itself and becomes oversold again. So there you go. So those are the 2 signals, that you might want to see, and then block the rest of the signals while the stochastics is still oversold. Or, basically, again, you want to, so when you take a look at, remember this represents, your original system's, output here. And so again, what's wanted is you want to see the first signal, that occurs with the correct bar direction. So there we go. So these dots here mark the first occurrence with the correct bar direction. So let's mark that up there. There we go. All right. So there's the first up bar, and again, the first up bar here. So those would be the only 2 signals that you may want to see, right? It's just the first signal, and then block all the rest regardless. Right. So there we go. So there's the signals, filtered out with the bar direction, and so we want to block that one and that one. There we go. All right, so let's get back to the signal blocker. And yeah, so what I need to do, oops. All right, so looking at the original set of signals here, what I need to do is kind of count, how many bars there might be. What's the maximum number of bars that there might be, in a row here, like this. So let's see. All right, so right here we have 10, and that's because with this system we have pretty good downtrend. So we had 10 here, so I know I at least need to block 10 signals here. So if I go back to my signal blocker, I know at least in this one spot on the chart I need to block for at least 10, and I'm just going to add a few more extra bars just for good measure. So we'll just knock that up to blocking for 15 bars. All right. So, but if we just simply do that, right, we can see that things don't quite look right. So right now the signal blocker is just simply blocking for 15 bars. So this signal came in, and then 15 bars later, right, we had another signal come in. But remember, we want the signal here on this bar. So what we need to do is figure out what reset settings to use. So we need to find a way to reset the signal blocker correctly. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is, right, I'm going to take the original signals here, and I know that when there's no signals, right, this area here where there's no signals, well, I know that no signal is because the stochastic is no longer oversold, right? And so that's kind of like the reset, that's kind of like, yeah, the reset for that tells me, when I may want to see another set of signals here. So I'm going to use use these bars where there's no signal to reset the signal blocker here. So if I open this up, And let me go, and I'm going to turn everything off here. Just start from scratch. And I'm going to use the reset connector here. So I'm going to take these signals and connect it into the reset there, like so. So I'm using the reset connector. So I'm looking for all the settings that start with the word reset, right? So these two here start with reset, and these two on the bottom start with reset. So I'm going to be using those settings because I'm using the reset connector, right? I'm taking the signals from my original, I'm taking the original system signal, or I should say maybe you might want to say unfiltered signals here, and I'm connecting them into the reset connection there. And so I'm looking for reset no signal, right? I'm looking for the no signal because remember, I'm looking for these couple of bars here, this area where there is no signal, because that tells me that the stochastics left the oversold, and basically the stochastics kind of reset itself, or you might say that your set of signals is resetting themselves, right? So if we kind of go back to the original screenshot, right, whenever there's no signals, that's you might say that that's kind of like the whole trade setup is resetting itself when there is a bar with no signal, right? So the reset no signal, we're going to turn that to true, and that should do it. So let's take a look. Let's see if that does it. And let's go to our chart here. Yeah. So there we go. Now we have long signals on the two bars, right, with that we had marked with the green dot. So there we go. So that's the first signal in the set when the stochastic is oversold. And then the other signals are blocked. So that's, kind of another way. It all depends on how obviously it depends on, what your trading system is and what you like to see on the chart. But, there's two ways of doing it, so so you can simply just use a bar direction with an AND node, right? If you want to see all the racing stripes on your chart, but if you like to if you like your chart a little cleaner, then, maybe using a signal blocker, to clean up your chart a little more might be helpful. All right, that does it. That was a pretty simple question there to answer. So that does it. All right, so Gary's using the MACDBBs. Yeah, familiar with that indicator. Let's see. So the angle as well as the BBs crossing over. No. So I think I can show you a couple examples. If you have anything specific, so when people say the angle, there's a lot of ways you can interpret, what you're looking for when you say angle. So if you kind of have anything specific, let me know. And while I'm waiting on that, let's get the BBs added, or the MACDBBs added to the chart here. Let's see. I'm going to see if I have an ANA version. Yeah, here we go. I've got an anaMACDBB version. So I know there's a lot of versions of this indicator out there. There's also, I think what I have is, there's a BBMACD one out there as well. They're all basically the same concept. But I'll use the ANA one here. And let's move this up on the chart. There we go. And all right, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to turn the paint bars off. And let's turn the sound alerts off. Obviously don't need those. Okay. All right, so there we go. There's our MACDBBs. All right, so we want to do some crossover detection. Let's see, more like the spread between the two lines. All right, so you want to detect the spread between the two lines. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. So, yeah, the first thing we want to do is kind of, check what the scaling is. So our scaling is really small here, right? 0.01, 0.02. So let's take an example here. So let's measure this really wide section here. So okay, good. So we got one end, which is at 0, and the other end is almost at 0.03, sorry. Yeah, so we're dealing with really small numbers here, but that doesn't matter. You just, point being, you just need to, take a look at the scaling and kind of understand, what size numbers we're dealing with. And let's start a new logic template here. So, okay. So, all right. So if we want to measure those bands there, let's see. We want the comparison solver. So let's all right. So we'll do like an upper and lower band comparison here, like so. All right, so an input A, we'll set this to the upper band. All right, so let's go find that anaMACDBB. There we go. Add that in here. And of course, remember to change your parameters if you're using custom settings there. Right? And then next, we need to find the correct plot. And there we go. Well, upper. I'm assuming upper would be the upper band here. Put that in. All right. And then input B, we'll set that to the lower band. And there we go. Select the lower band. And now we need to use the difference section here. All right. Now, indicators that run in their own subpanel and have their own scaling, right? The measurement unit for those kind of indicators, like the MACD, is going to be in points, not ticks, right? Only price can be measured in ticks. Indicators that have their own scaling are measured in points. All right, so let's detect when the bands are 0.02 or wider. So now we just need to get the outputs adjusted here, like so, right? So if we're trying to detect, when two lines are wider than some distance, right, that's non-directional. That's just, two lines are spread apart or tight together, right? It doesn't tell you any kind of direction of a trade. So typically you'll want a long and a short output at the same time. So in this case, if we take a look at the outputs, right, the long output, I'm using A greater than B, and the short output is also A greater than B. And we spread this out here. There we go. All right. So there, so that tells me that these bands are wider than 0.02. And if you just want to verify that, I'm going to make sure my line here is exactly 0.02 in length. So here I got a little measuring stick to measure with, and I can stick that over here like so and measure that. Just make sure you're measuring at the correct spot there in the middle of the bar. So, right, if I move over here, yep, I can see my line goes a little past the lower band there. So there you go. There's one way, right, that you can do some kind of detecting there, right? So in this case, we're detecting a distance that's greater than, right? So it's this 0.02 or greater than. So let's see. Let's kind of adjust the name here. So let's see. So let's say the upper band is going to be greater than the lower by 0.02. There we go. All right. So that's one way. That's one detection. And let's say, how about if we want to find like these little skinny spots when the bands contract a lot, or over here as well, right? The bands are really contracted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this, and we'll find when the bands are really contracted, and let's say less than 0.01. So let's change our differences here, like so. And then the other thing we want to do is, let's see, which of these outputs do we want to use here? Yeah, so in this case, A is never going to be less than B. Because remember, A is the upper band. So the upper band is always going to be greater or above the lower band, right? So this A less than B is never going to produce a result. I think the A equals B, I think that's what we want to use. I think that'll do it for us. And let's just go test that out. Let's take a look. So yeah, so the name here is a little misleading, but all right, so let's put this new solver on the board here, this one I just made there. And let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that worked out. All right, so using the A equals B, right, within 0.01 points. Yeah, perfect. So there you go. So now we can detect when the bands are really close together within a certain distance. And let's see, a crossover. Let's do a crossover detection here. All right, so let's see. We'll do the MACD crossing over the band there. All right, so input A, that'll be our MACD line there. So let's set that up. Okay, there's our indicator. Again, I'm just using the default parameters. And let's see, yeah, so I'm guessing that's the MACD line. Oh, actually, maybe it's this one, the BB MACD line. I'm not sure. Oh, probably one of these plots would be the dots that we see, and the other plot is probably the white line that's behind the dots. Yeah, so I think they're both the same. They're plotting the same information there. So, okay, we'll just go with the BB MACD there. All right, and then Input B, that'll be the upper and lower bands. All right, so let's go get that selected. Let's see. All right, so let's say, it depends on what kind of crossover you're looking for, but let's say if the MACD line crosses the upper band, we'll generate a long signal. And when the MACD crosses the lower band, we'll generate a short signal there for the lower band. And let's take a look. Yeah, there we go. Pretty simple. There we go. MACD crossed the lower band. And it crossed it again, like so. And then the MACD crossed above and outside the upper band. There you go. And again and again. So, yeah, something else people like to kind of detect is when the MACD is outside of the bands, right? So when the MACD is outside the lower band or when it's outside the upper band, just knowing where the MACD is in relationship to the bands. So let's see, we can do that. Let's grab another comparison solver here, like that. There. Okay, so input A, that's going to be the MACD again. All right, so there you go. The MACD is already selected for us. That's the default. And then input B, that'll be our bands. So let's go set that up. All right, so there. So let's see. So if the MACD is above the upper band, we'll generate a long signal. And if it's below the lower band, we'll generate a short signal. Yeah, and that's that. So the default outputs, are set correctly for us. So we don't have to change the outputs. Yeah, just like so. So there we go. All right. Whenever the MACD line is below the lower band, there we go. We're getting a short output. And if it's above the upper band, we'll get a long output. Yeah, there we go. All right. I guess I'll kind of stop it there unless you have anything else scary you'd like to see. All right. I guess that kind of does it. So if I don't see you tomorrow, then have a good weekend, guys. And remember, please email your questions in for these workshops, right? It's your questions that drive these workshops. Okay, guys? All right. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.